You'll shout when it hits you, yes indeed. Yes, you'll shout when it hits you, yes indeed. When the spirit moves you, you'll shout.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for another edition of Bromance in the BurbZ on this beautiful Sunday evening. We got a real great show lined up ahead of you for tonight.
You will shout.
Go way back with these gentlemen. We turn this down. This is called the Host Show. We're all warm-up hosts in our respected parts of the country. We've all known each other since high school. And I don't know what I'd do without these gentlemen in my life. We're starting off with an old school gentleman. Old school. All right. I've known him since I've been 15 years old. I went to high school with his kids. And we did some of the best warm-up hosting on the planet at the time. And I'm going to bring him right on. Without further ado, you've seen him all over. He's got his own radio show since he was 14 years old. We worked together at Universal. We've run stages in Vegas, Orlando, all the way to Sanford. And with that being said, please welcome to Bromance in the BurbZ, Sunday night edition, the one and only Ron Seggi. How's it going, Ron?
Jeez, I was wondering. Hey, Eric, I wonder who you were talking about there. But I guess I realized it was me when you said old. But hey, thanks for having us on. This is great. This is fantastic. I've watched the show. Old school. I've watched your show several times. I love it. Glad to be here.
Thanks for saying. You know, we go so far back, and we're both old school type gentlemen. And, you know, used to work with my mom at Production Building 22A, Producers Building, and it was old school back then, and everybody had their offices, and
right.
I got to be honest, I feel like we're family, you know? I went to high school with your sons, Chris and Scott, and I've just known you since I've been 15. I spent time at your house. We did a show together, the Ron Seggi Show. But more importantly, the first time that we really worked together professionally, and we moved from being like, you know, you being one of my very good friend's dads to being my friend and us working together, was with Ed McMahon. And it started at Universal where they shot the pilot for Next Big Star. And then I got the warm-up host spot, and we did a month out there in Vegas. And I want to say on camera in front of everybody, thanks, Mr. Seggi. You really facilitated that. I wouldn't have gotten that gig without you. And it was one. To this day, it's probably my favorite warm-up host gig, except for another gig that one of our next guests coming up got me a couple years ago. And can you tell us a little bit about that whole Ed McMahon experience, if you don't mind, Mr. Seggi?
Well, you know, it's funny because, first of all, you did a hell of Ron. Okay. First of all, you did a hell of a job with our show, Next Big Star, which actually we were there more than a month because we would go back every other weekend to do, 4 or 5 shows. And we did, I don't know if it's 26 or 36, something like that. But what happened was I've been in the radio and television business, like you said, since I was 14 as an owner of stations, as a dish 30 years as a talk show host. And of course, when you're in this business, there's a couple of people that you really admire for what they do. One was Dick Clark, and the other, of course, was Ed McMahon. And we just hit it off. He was doing a book tour. And we just hit it off. It got to the point where he told me that he felt more comfortable with me than he did with Johnny, which I thought was a supreme compliment. But we were having dinner one night at one of the hotels on Universal property. And he said, I want to talk to you after the show, after dinner. And he said to me, I'd like you to be my announcer on Next Big Star. And I looked at him and I said, well, let me get me straight here. The most famous announcer wants me to be his announcer. And he said, well, if you want to put it that way, yes. And I said, well, I just have one question, and it's a financial. Could be funny, like the guy's talking money already, And he said, what's that? I said, who pays who? Because I figured maybe it would cost me about $800 a week for the luxury of being Ed's announcer. But that's how it started. And we became very good friends and, of course, business partners.
And I was fortunate enough to be part of that time. And I loved every second of it. It was so neat. We were running Vegas for a while. We were all put up at the MGM Grand. On that trip, I met Rodney Dangerfield. I met Tony Curtis. Some of the people in the show. We had Alonzo Bowden, the comedian. We had, what's her name from American Idol? We'll have to ask our next guest. He's an American Idol professional. I can't think of her name for the life of me now. She's married to David Foster now.
I can't either.
She was one of the contestants.
Yeah. I can't think of it either now that you mentioned it. I can't think of it.
Maybe one of our
was a girl by the name of Amber. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps we're having a little bit of a, and everybody out there that watches Bromance and the Burbs, and I got to start, I say right away, thanks for the support. I know there's some technical issues sometimes. I call StreamYard, we work on it. I removed the router. I got a new computer. So thanks for bearing with us. I know that sometimes it's a max headroom effect, but hopefully the content is worth it. That being said, I'll never be able to appreciate how much I love that gig and spending time with you and Ed McMahon and your wife, Claudia, and Ed's wife, and Valeria, who's also the host on that show. And this is how we go. You were the announcer.
Right.
You were kind enough to come out on stage and announce me. I spent about an hour with the audience, lighting them up, getting them ready for the show. And it was just pure joy. We had the best time. It's one of my favorite gigs of all time. Yeah. Started right here at Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida. That's where they shot the pilot. And then I wasn't all the way on the Vegas gig. I was on the fence. And then it was you guys are out in California. I'm not sure if you were there, but I know Ed McMahon was out there with his wife and kids and grandkids and his son. And I got them into an NSYNC concert. And it was craziest day, okay? Not only were we pitching these new shoes that we were trying to get on NSYNC's feet, and I had that all going on, but then actual Ed McMahon's there. It gave me so much clout with NSYNC, who are my buddies forever, and I've been running around with them for years. But I'm like, oh, by the way, Ed McMahon's here, and he'd like to say hi to Justin and talk about the old, what was the show? Star Search days.
Star Search.
Introduced them to
Star Search,
right?
yeah.
Right. They had a nice conversation, and then as soon as they were done talking, he's like, Eric, you're the man for the job in Vegas. And I was like, wow. And then, boy, did we have a good time.
Yeah.
And that was also during the run of that show, 9/11 happened. And they shut down Vegas. And I was very proud to be part of that crew because we were like, everything turned into American flags and patriotism. And we knocked it out. We finished that run because that was a real uncertain time in the country. And we bonded together like a family. And I'll just never forget that experience. It was amazing. My favorite warm-up host gig ever.
I remember on Sunday night when we were leaving Vegas, and Ed said, why don't you fly to California with me rather than go to Florida? Because we were preparing at that time a tour that was going to start in Branson, Missouri, of the Tonight Show memories. And I said, you know, Ed, I think I need to go back because I have a radio show I got to attend to. Well, I went back. It's a good thing I did, because if I didn't go back, I couldn't have flown for the next 3 weeks.
It was eerie on the planes at that time because similar to COVID, but a different but similar feeling. Yeah, and I'm glad you made that choice too. At the time, I just moved out to California, so I think I was out there. I flew a bunch.
Yeah.
Anyway, amazing. Cut to 10 years later, you and I was a backup singer in your show, the Ron Seggi show. We did that out in Sanford. And where else did we perform that? That was a hot show, man. I loved it.
Oh, wait.
And we spent a lot of time rehearsing.
We did a lot of shows. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you can see I don't know if you can back off and see the marquee here. It's a tribute to Dick Clark's American Bandstand. And we had 2 other girl singers and a 50-piece orchestra. And we had a great time. And we had a great time putting that show together. And you did a terrific job, as always. And you did some, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you did some warm up for that. Didn't you come out a little bit in front of those shows and kind of get the audience in the mood? I thought you did.
If I get the go ahead, I get out there, man. You know me. I love the stage.
I know you do. I know you.
Bit.
I know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, sir. And
You sing.
also, I'll never forget during the Ed McMahon show, he would always be like, "Eric's a great new comedian." I never thought of myself as a comedian. So from that day on, I took myself as a comedian as well. I mean, I had to go to a fabric store and get some new material, but I always considered myself a comedian. Not a comedian, but Ed McMahon told me I was, and from that point on, I claimed it. Now we have other guests we need to bring on board. Yes, go ahead, Mr. Satmaran.
Well, I was just going to say that in addition to having a comedic flair to you, you also did what a lot of comedians don't do, and that was you sang a lot during those items during those warm-up sessions. You did some songs.
Yeah, I would always sing some Neil Diamond, some Frank Sinatra, a little Harry Connick Jr. And, at first, it was controversy with it. They're like, warm-up hosts don't sing. But then you and Ed spoke and came back to me, and they said, "You know what, Eric? We've seen you do it, and we can't say no. Keep it going." And it was a hit. We were on our own show because some days as a warm-up, you're up there for hours. This crowd wants to be entertained. You can only throw so much candy out there before you got to give them some good content. And we used to knock that Vegas stage out, right? Before we bring our next guest on. I got to talk about this special. All right. Now, your son, Christopher, is a Orlando police officer for years now. God bless him. Appreciate it, guys. My father, Robert Garbus, retired New York City detective. One of the neatest things I ever thought is, and our families are very close. Especially you guys with my mom. And, Claudia Seggi, Miss Seggi, and my mom. And we would spend days together in the office, and I really grew up with you, as a family member. And then when Chris made it through the police academy, my dad had his extra pair of handcuffs from New York. He was in street crime, criminal apprehension unit. Goes on and on and on and on. And then he gave those to Chris, and Chris still has those in his patrol car to this day. Is that correct?
You're right. You are absolutely correct. First of all, I want to confirm the fact that you're like a third son to me. I want you to know that. But you are absolutely correct. And on the side of the police, right next to the steering wheel on the police car, there's that handle for the spotlight, and he has those cufflinks right around there, and he's had it on it for since he became a police officer, the last 18 years. I just saw it the other day. It's right there.
And that's such a neat moment of passing the torch in my mind. And I've always loved that. And I want to mention something to you now. I'm not sure if you remember or not. You guys were moving offices at Production Building 22A. And you gave this mic stand to my mother. And you told her to give it to Eric. And she did. So in a similar way that my dad passed those cuffs to pass the torch to Chris, I feel like you passed that torch to me. I didn't know what I was going to do with this mic stand.
Well, I got to tell you,
it's been sitting in my person for years. I traveled to LA to New York with me, and I didn't know what to do with it until this show came to be. And then now it's the mic stand for Bromance and the BurbZ. And thank you, Mr. Seggi. I'll never forget it. I'll use it.
Well, I got to tell you. I'll tell you something else. I have a pinky ring on that your mother gave me, and I wear it all the time.
I didn't know that. Maybe you told me.
It has my initials on it. It has my initials on it. I don't know why she had it because it wasn't her initials, but she gave it to me, and I wear it to this very day.
My mom loved you guys. Always talking about the Seggis. And I love you guys too. Just love you. Not only did we entertain together, we grew up together, and we all looked out for each other, especially in the Universal days. I loved every moment of it.
Absolutely,
Mr. Seggi, thank you.
Your mother.
That being said,
I just gonna say your mother and father were great people. Your father, of course, still alive, but boy, when your mother passed away, we were devastated. We were at the hospital and everything, devastated. Sweet, sweet, sweet lady. Grand lady.
Special. They broke the mold. You're going to be crying, Mr. Seggi. And on that note, how's the sound? Is it okay? Should I plug these in? Can I get is the sound check okay? I know we check all this stuff, but then it gets so wonky. How is it? How's the sound for everybody? I see that we're having a little bit of a delay somewhere. Well, that being said, Mr. Seggi, don't go anywhere. We've got to bring on our next guest. Speaking, I sound all right? Speaking of Universal, and speaking of celebrities, and speaking of great, well, before you go though, Mr. Seggi, I got to ask you, did you hear about Steve Harvey? Mr. Seggi?
No, I didn't.
Ron? Oh my gosh, he got in a fight with his wife.
No.
The cousin, the brother, they had the cops, and it was crazy. It was a family feud. It was a family feud. Oh, my timing's off. All right. Mr. Seggi, don't go anywhere. We'll be calling you back in just a second. That was a segue into our next. All right. This guy, too, I've known since like early 20s. We worked together, Hollywood Boulevard out there, the streets of Universal, back from the days when I was at T1000. This guy, he would be going to his set. We'd wave. And over the years, say hello. And then over the years, we just became friends. And he's just such a class act. And then I used to do the Scooby-Doo gang, where I played Fred Jones. And his wife used to play Velma Dinkley. And that strengthened our bond even more. Now the guy's a big-time celebrity. He's out there as Steve Harvey's warm-up host for Family Feud and The Steve Harvey Show and The Bachelor and a million other shows. There's a small circle of warm-up hosts in the world. And this guy's one of the top. What else can I say? Let's bring him right on the show. The one, the only, Rubin Ervin. Ruben,
man,
how are you, sir?
Live up to, man. Goodness gracious.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a lot.
That's a lot. How's it sound? Does it sound okay?
Man. You sound great. Thanks for having me on the show, buddy.
Oh, are you kidding me? Thanks for agreeing to be on it. I was thinking about it. I was like, we need to have a warm-up show. You know what I mean? It's this very specific job, and not too many people understand what goes into it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes it's 50.
You're absolutely right when you said there's very few of us that do this, man. I didn't realize how small the warm-up world was. You got to understand, when I got into this, I was my first ever, TV. My first TV warm-up gig was Family Feud, and I didn't know this could be a career. So I thought it was a one-off. So the fact that I'm doing this, years and years later, and it's actually a career choice is weird to me. But here we are.
Prosperous career choice, man. You're big time, brother.
I am not big time. I am medium time, sir. Please do not blow my head up. I am medium time. Medium time. I am a junior whopper, sir.
Oh, stop it. You're tops in my book, pal. Tops in my book. How's the family? How are the kids?
Man, everybody's doing good, man. We're out in LA. We moved out here about 3-4 years ago now. I started out here, doing the feud and stuff like that. But thankfully, I've lucked into a lot of other gigs. One of my mainstays now is I'm doing the Kelly Clarkson Show, which is just a freaking blast. Next week I'm going over. I'm doing a little NFL honors, and I'm working, which is tough to say right now, as you well know. Entertainers right now, it's very tough in this business to be, especially a live entertainer anywhere. So we've all had to adapt and adjust, and we're gonna make it through. We're gonna get past this, and then everybody's gonna go back to audiences clapping and cheering. And I just can't wait.
Can't wait. There's no business like show business. There's nothing like being in front of the crowd. And I'll tell you what, Ruben. Similar to how McMahon came to Universal Backlot, they filmed those first episodes down here, and they put the call out, the audition. All right. I just finished the Ed McMahon, really high on my warm-up posting. I was in good form. I just done Fox Family, Pink, all sorts of stuff. And I'm thinking, I got this nailed. I went into the audition. I won them over. Knew I had it. I was like, they love me. But then I walked out, and who was next in line? You, sir. And you got the gig. Well deserved.
I lucked out, man. I really did. I was just in the right place at the right time. I have to be 100% honest with you. I did not know really what I was getting into. I had no faith in it. Honest to goodness, and I swear on my mama that I thought this was a gig through Universal. I didn't think it was a through the TV show thing. And I was performing already, doing Actor A stuff, making a pretty good living at Universal. And I was like, I ain't gonna give this up to do this thing over here, man. I ain't doing that. And I went, Lyle Moon, who's a show director at Universal Studios. I was backstage because we were doing a commercial for Harry Potter the Ride, and he was like, "Hey, there's a Family Feud audition tomorrow. You should go to it." And I go, "To do what?" He goes, "To be the warm-up guy." I said, "To do who?" So I literally went home. I Googled warm-up guy, kind of figure out what it was, and I didn't think I got it, bro. I think the only thing that won me over, can I be real? I think the one that won me over is that I knew the music that Steve liked. I knew it. Like they asked me a couple questions about music, and I kind of nailed it. And so it got down to me and this other guy named Ali. You know Ali Flores. And
I just was out with him last night.
Yeah,
he's going to be on another show coming up, the comedian show.
He's my dude.
I saw him last night.
It got down to me and Ali.
I got the call back.
What do you say?
I got the call back. I was in that mix. It was you.
Yeah,
Ali,
no. I'm talking about. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know. Bro, can I be honest with you? Like I was sick because at the time I was DJing at Wet and Wild, the water theme park down in Orlando, and the line producer of the show at the time, the EIC of the show, his name is Jim Roush. He hit me up while I was DJing, and I'm in the booth like, man, I ain't doing no Family Feud. I make good money unless they come with the right number. Like I'm talking straight mess, sir. And I got a call. He goes, I said, hey, I saw the number from LA. I was like, oh, this is a bill collector. I didn't answer it the first time. And then he called me back and he goes, hey, Jim Roush, Family Feud, want to offer you a gig. And I'm thinking in my head this number, and the number he told me blew the number I wanted out the water. And I was like, yeah. I'll be there Friday. Oh, man.
Yeah. Originally, they hit it with us that way. It was originally a Universal job. It wasn't a straight up. I couldn't see Jimmy Cricket. He was making me nervous back there. Let me get this guy out of the way. I originally made it a Universal job. It wasn't like a third party or anything like that. They're like, you'd be getting this job from Universal. I figured too, we were just going to get our regular rate, and who cares though? Sweet gig, man. And you played the donkey. What? Tell us some of the other shows that you warm up host for, and at Universal you played donkey. What else did you play?
I mean, for the most part, I was that. I was a furry like everybody else. You know, that's how me and my wife, man, we were both fur characters out there for a long time, and then one thing led to another. Now we got 2 kids. But between, I mean, I did all the shows at Universal, the parades and the whatnot, and then once I started doing warm up, my mainstays are pretty much anything Steve Harvey's on. I got the Kelly Clarkson show, do all the Bachelors. I lucked up, and I am good friends with the director for the Bachelor. He also does Family Feud. He's taking a shine to me, and so he takes me pretty much on any show he does. And I've been kind of, I've got a steady, even in the pandemic, I've been working, and I can't. It's a blessing, bro. So I'm not. I have no complaints. I have nothing but love and gratitude.
I've been following your career, man. Stellar. And I love your brother, too. I saw him not too long ago. First, I thought it was you. I thought you were in town. It was for Tony Messina's funeral. Yeah. God bless him. We miss him a lot. And I went right up to him. I was like, what's up? He was like, whoa. And I was like, wait a second.
We get it a lot. He is. Everybody doesn't realize it's not me until you walk up on him and he's a foot taller. Nobody realizes he's a foot taller. And he has about another 50 pounds of muscle on him. So,
Marine, baby. Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
yes,
man.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yep. Hey, can I tell you something? Can I tell you a path that I did not know that we crossed? You said Alonzo Bowden.
Yeah, love him. I met him at next door.
Yeah, he and I actually host the Family Feud tour together. I did not know that you knew him like that. But yeah, he and I do the tour together.
Well, he might not remember me because the truth is we did that show. He won the comedian section of Next Big Star, and he got 50 grand in a car. And right from that job, after I finished it, I moved out to LA. And he and I got along backstage and talked and all that. And he's like, I like what you do. And I was like, I like what you do. And then he said, I'll tell you what, when you come out to LA, come to the open mic at, what's the name of it? One of those clubs on, what's the big strip?
You're going to imagine next guess that. You got I don't know anything.
No, he showed up. Like he said, you show up there. I didn't get his number or anything. I showed up. He was there. And all the top comedians that you see in all the movies today, they were all doing their stand-up there, open mic night style. And I hung out with him for a little bit out there. And then once I started working in LA, I was nonstop until I moved back to New York. And now baby too. I'm back in Orlando with a baby, 14-year-old.
Wow.
It's wild. But Alonzo was one of the coolest guys, man. I wonder, did he ever get that car? He was waiting for that car last time I saw him.
You know, I got to ask him, man. I got to ask him. He and I lucked out because he was the they needed a big, black, tall, funny guy for the host of Family Feud on the tour. And so he was a natural fit. And then they wanted somebody else for the other leg of it. And they asked me to do it because I work on the show. Yeah, I mean, he's a good guy, man.
Heck yeah, man. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a lot of years. When you see him, please tell him Eric Garbus from Next Big Star says hello.
Yes, sir.
And on that note, we got another guest. Let's bring him on board, talk to him real quick, and then we'll bring everybody back. Speaking of warm-up hosts, this guy and I, we go way back to Universal as well. Met him when I was 17, back when we were doing Fandango back there. I was doing the Hitchcock show. He was doing Stilts with our good buddy Canyon Prince, and those two were best buddies. And then when I was living in LA, these guys live right down the block. And a lot of people say, oh, LA is tough. It's harsh. I love living in LA. And we had such a support system out there and good friends. And we would have barbecues over there all the time. And actually, the last warm-up host job I got was from this gentleman. He lined it up for me. Jackie and I had just gone to New York to get married and drove straight home to do the World Series of Poker Tour. And I was like a thoroughbred out of the gates because I hadn't done it in so long, to the point they were like, Eric, you're crazy. This is great. They said it was Eric's show by the time it was done. And I owe all that to this guy. So, Rubin, don't go anywhere. We're going to pull you right back, and we're all going to talk. We got to welcome this special guy, man. I love him. I've known him forever. As cool as they come. I don't know what I'd do without him. The incomparable Jay Flats.
She got the way to move me, cherry. She got the way to move me, cherry, baby.
Dun, 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 dun,
I'm gonna throw a little singing Neil Diamond in. If I could just get Ron and Rubin to slide down the virtual couch, please. Can you slide over? Can I sit next to Mr. Garbus here in the Bromance?
Yeah, we're here. We'll bring them back, but we got a moment here. I mean, this is all about Bromance and the Burbs, man. And, we all Bromance in the Burbs in Orlando. But then when we left, we were support out there. We were Bromance in the Burbs Studio City style, man. That was our town for a while. Loved every second of it. And you still have that apartment out there, right? Canyon's living in it right now. Canyon Ryan Prince, death, man. He's our other Bromance in the Burbs, man. He was
across the street from Universal. It was weird to live across the street from Universal in Orlando and then live across the street from Universal in LA, like literally across the street. And Prince and I have had that apartment on the corner of Ventura and Lankershim for 20 years. We've had that apartment now. 20 years. It's crazy. I wanted to mention Family Feud. Everybody seems to have a relationship with Family Feud. When Family Feud was in LA, when Richard Karn was hosting, I worked on Family Feud as the audience coordinator. Like, I worked with Ken Fuchs, who's the director of Family Feud and The Bachelor. Like, we all know so many of the same people. It's a big world, small town.
Big world, small town, big world. Right. Tell us some of the shows. I'm going to try to plug these headphones in. Sometimes that helps with the delay. I upgraded the thing. I got the new computer. It's still wacky. But Jay, tell us some of the shows that you're working on. How's it
Well,
sound now?
right before the global pandemic came around, I think I had like 8 shows I was doing warm up for. Dancing with the Stars, American Idol, So You Think You Can Dance, World of Dance, pretty much any show where you're dancing. And Ridiculousness. And then I was actually very fortunate to fill in a few times on Kelly Clarkson's show for Rubin. Love working with those guys as well. And it all disappeared. But I think that there's the group of us is small enough to where when all this work comes back, if you've been able to survive, stick it out, you'll just keep working. You just got to be ready to get back to work whenever things go back to quote unquote normal.
You tell me some sound okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're good.
You were telling me some interesting things about how you just did virtual warm-up for Dr. Phil, and there was no audience. And this is kind of the new state of affairs. Tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with that.
Yeah, well, Rubin and I both are able to go to our prospective shows. Like I've been filling in for this guy, Chunky B, who's been a warm-up guy forever, over at Dr. Phil. And you go there and everybody's just on big virtual screens behind you. And over at Kelly Clarkson, it's kind of the same. Like everybody has a screen that's like the screens are physically in the audience. So we're just virtual reacting and communicating and trying to do what you would do with a normal audience through the virtual with like a 1-second delay. So you just have to adapt. And I think that's one of the things I can definitely speak for Rubin and myself. We've been able to adapt. We look at a situation, we jump in, we make ourselves valuable. Like when I first got out to LA, I didn't know I wanted to be a warm-up comedian until I started watching the warm-ups and I was like, ooh, I want that job. I can do that. I can be the hype man. And now I've been doing it for almost 20 years and I love it.
Bro, you're a natural. I'm pulling these off. I don't know. This thing is so silly. I do everything they tell me to do to fix this.
I'm a big fan
Bro,
I'm a big fan of opportunity windows. You just have to see them, find them, create them. You got to find those opportunities, make those opportunities. I love that aspect of the entertainment world. People say it's hard to get a gig. You got to work harder. Just work harder.
Well, also, they got to pick you. You know what I mean? That's the thing that I try to explain to people that are like, why don't you get more acting gigs? I'm like, I audition for them. You got to get picked, man. It's a little subjective. You know what I mean? And then warm-up hosts, it is really specialized. I didn't realize it, that you think anybody could do this, but we live for it. On the stage for hours, just making up stuff, singing songs, throwing out candy, playing games. Right. I added a new element of it when you said go down to that to warm up host the World Series of Poker, which was like epic, by the way. That was our honeymoon, basically. You know, we went down to the Hard Rock Hotel. And you said, and play music. I was like, play music. Usually I put on a couple songs in the booth. He said, no, you showed me how to. And then from then on out, I've been like DJ bartending, all from your recommendations. And I'll never forget it. At first, it sounded so overwhelming because I don't know how to do that. But I was like, you got the gig. I better make sure I get it going. And then you showed me a whole new aspect of it, Jay.
Yes,
do us a favor.
Do you a favor?
Yeah. Will you show us outside your window again?
Oh yeah,
you give
sure,
us that view?
Yeah. I'm downtown
look at this.
LA.
You transported me.
I'm on the
I used to
corner
work
of
at Cicada downtown.
Yeah, I'm on 9th and Broadway, so I'm right above the Orpheum Theater. Like literally, there's the vertical Orpheum sign in downtown LA, 9th and Broadway. This is the Eastern Columbia building. That's where the Predator was in Predator 2 with Danny Glover. It was hanging on the building. But
I'm transported. What's up, Randy? We're gonna say hi to Randy's popping and say hi. Hi, Randy. Long time no see. We're gonna have to catch up with you. Hey, thank you, Jay. I'm transported. Yeah. I used to work on 6th and Olive down there at Cicada, and they do a whole stand-up series from there now. That's a nice, beautiful restaurant. And they shot Mr. and Mrs. Smith there.
I was doing warm-up at the Cicada for a show.
Yeah, you told me about that. Yeah.
at the Cicada, they were doing this like catching up with Bar Rescue, where like John Taffer was going to check in with everybody and find out how their bars were still doing, you know. And it was at the Cicada Club downtown, and Taffer didn't show up. He was like an hour plus late. He hadn't even landed at the airport yet when the audience was all there. So I just told the director in the booth, I was like, I'm just going to do an hour set. Record it if you can. And he's like, I don't think we can record it. And I go, well, I'm going to go. And I did a full hour with this crowd at the Cicada, and it was great, and everybody was drinking. And anytime someone gives me the stage, I'll take it. Oh, we're going to be half an hour late? Cool. I'll do a half an hour stand-up show.
Yeah, that's cool until it's 3 hours, 4 hours on stage, and there's some kind of technical problem, and you're out there for 4 hours. And I love it too, still. You know, I'll go for 4 hours.
You'll never get me to shut up. If you give me a stage, I can just go for 12 hours.
I love it, man. I'm saying, takes one to know one. Takes one to know one. So just go down the list real quick. Tell some of the shows you're warm-up hosting for, and then let's bring the boys back.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've done some crazy shows. I love doing Ridiculousness with Rob Dyrdek. The Masked Singer was a lot of fun. It's all kinds of talk shows, game shows. I've probably done like 100 different shows.
Wow.
I've worked on pilots that were horrible, that will never go anywhere, that people walked out halfway through. And I've walked off set as a warm-up guy. They told me it was going to be a 4-hour day, 6, 7, 8, 10 hours into it. I was like, fuck this, I'm out. Pardon for the language in the burbs. But yeah, it's a unique thing. There's a great book called The Warm-Up Guy. What is this guy's name? I have the book. Let me get it. There's this legendary guy he basically founded the warm-up game back in the day. He was working on sitcoms, and the book, where is it? Here it is. It's called The Warm-Up Guy. Bob Perlow. He worked on all the old classic shows way back in the day. He pretty much created the warm-up position. He was a writer on the shows, and the producers were like, hey, get out there and entertain the crowd. When there was no warm-up, he turned warm-up into a real job. This is the pioneer. This was the guy who made it like a union gig. Like, a lot of people don't realize that. Like, a lot of shows are union. I got a pension. Yeah, pension. But I've never done the pension dance before.
I am in the union, but don't even work down here. Wow. Well, sometimes. God bless the union. Jay, I didn't know about that book. I really appreciate that. I'm definitely going to read it. I'm all about reading books. I'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, Bob Furlow.
Bob Furlow.
Furlow, yeah.
Also,
I bet you Ron's heard of this guy. I guarantee you Ron's heard of this guy.
Let's ask him. Let's bring him on back. Also, you were a guide at Universal, everything, man. You know what I mean? You really do hustle. This
say yes.
Bromance and the Burbs right here, this is a group of hustlers.
Yes. I've been saying yes for 30 years.
Yeah, me too, pretty much. Let's bring everybody back. Hey, Jay, thanks for running it down. I can't tell you how much I miss you, man. You're just one of my best friends. I love you. We don't get to spend much time together. You're out there in California holding down the fort. I just miss you, man. I really do. We really had special times together and all those barbecues at your apartment and all that stuff.
Multiple states. You
down here recently. You were here for your high school reunion, and we got that dinner with my wife and son-in-law. And then you were here with your significant other and kids, and you guys went on that cruise. And that was very nice, and I just love you, man. I just miss you.
Hey,
let's bring these boys back.
Before you bring them in, kudos to you, man. You got a good kid on your hands. Harrison is a good kid. Good job, buddy. Good job.
I love him. I love him. This is his artwork. Yes. Thank you very much. So far, so good, because now we're getting to it seemed tough, but it was easy because now we're getting to the teenage years. I'm like, I better pay attention. He really understands. He's a real understanding kid, man. Get my act together. Say, Dad, get your act together. You know what I mean? Well, Jay, I could talk to you for 12 hours, but we got some other guests. We got to bring them on back. Welcome back to the show, Ron Seggi and Rubin Ervin.
Yaga.
Gentlemen. Yaga. Mr. Seggi, You know that book? Ron said, Ron, did you know that book? It's so hard for me. I moved up in the world because today when we were prepping for the show, we did a rehearsal earlier, Ron and I, and he's like, Eric, that's it. No more. Mr. Seggi. It's Ron. And I'm having a hard time making the transfer, but I appreciate it. I feel like I graduated. You know what I mean? But it's tough for me, man. You know what I mean? It's that built.
I got to tell you. I've been listening to Jay and Rubin talk, right? And I got to be very honest with you. Okay, this is a tough career that you guys are in because you're like the first person to drink milk. You don't know what you're getting into when you go out there. You know, I mean, could you imagine the first guy to drink milk say, hey, drink this? You know, that's what you guys are. You don't know if that audience is going to be good or bad or what the hell's going to go happening. So, kudos to all of you, all three of you.
Thank you.
I've never heard of
that analogy. I'm stealing that analogy. I like that.
First one to drink the milk.
I have a story about Family Feud too. It's not a real good story, but I'll tell you what happened. Went to my office studios at Universal, and they were calling for announcers. And I knew the girl, Heather. You know what I'm talking about, Eric. And I said, I'll go down there and do it. This is cakewalk for me. I do this all the time, right? So after the show, after the audition, they call me and says, you didn't get it. And I says, what do you mean I didn't get it? I said, I've been doing this for, 1,000 years. He said, well, we gave it to Joey Fatone. I called Joey up and said, Joey, I'm going to scratch your head like this. But you know what he did? He recorded a whole bunch of them, and then they just played it. He didn't have to be there. But I said, that's okay. At least I lost it to a rock star.
Yep. And Joey grew up with us too. Your son, Joey, and I are all best friends since high school. I don't see those guys that often anymore, but for a while, Scott and Joey were running around wild men. You know what I mean? He grew up with us too, so when it stayed with him. Still are. I know.
Well, Mr. Ron, sir, the only reason I got the announcer gig was because I used to announce Steve on stage and off stage every day, and they got just so used to my voice. They were like, hey, why don't you just be the announcer? And I was like, sure.
Well, I got to tell you, I really enjoyed listening to Jay and Rubin, your stories. Those are very cool stories. Yeah, you have to write. That other fellow wrote a book on the warm-up guy. You guys all three of you need to do books because, believe it or not, people who are not in this business have no clue of what happens before a show. Bob Barker and I are good friends. And when I was 7 years old, I went to the El Capitan Theater in California to see him do Truth or Consequences. At 7 years old, I couldn't figure out how they got the audience to laugh when they went to the first shot, when the announcer said, it's Truth or Consequences. What they did, and you guys may know this, okay, they had two sailors up on stage that they pulled from the audience. They had two suitcases in front of them. Bob said before the airtime, and this was live to the East Coast, he said, who can dress faster, a man or a woman for a date? And of course, they said men. And he said, when we tell you to go, open the suitcase, and whatever's in the suitcase, you put on. And they waited, till about 30 seconds before the show was supposed to go live. They said, go. They opened up the suitcase. There was bra, panties, nylons, and they're putting this thing over their Navy uniform. The audience breaks out laughing, and they pan the audience. I'll never forget that. That was the coolest thing in the world to see how they did that.
That was, Mr. Ron, that was one of the weirdest parts of my job, was realizing that not only did I have to entertain these people for however long I got to stay out there, I had to produce reactions. And I did not know that going in. I didn't know that. I just thought I had to entertain them. So my first day of work was what I like to call a butt-tightening moment. I was locked the entire day because I was like, oh, they got to laugh. And of course, I have this voice. And Steve Harvey is who Steve Harvey is. And I know I sound like a tall white guy. And so I walked out on stage, and he didn't know what I looked like. And he walked around the corner, and he goes, boy, I thought you was white. I was like, I don't know what else to say. But that was my first introduction, my first day. I went home that night, and I thought that he hated me. I honest to God thought he hated me. I thought they were going to fire me. I thought they were going to fire me on the spot. And the executive producer called me the night. She goes, Steve Harvey loves you. No, he don't. He goes, no. He makes fun of you because you're boys. Put some suits on and play some and you'll be fine. So I've been wearing suits ever since. So that's how I endeared myself to him.
That's funny. Good.
Ruben,
Good story.
you're known for your suits. How many suits do you have now? You're always coming up with some kind of crazy new suit.
So I have to say again, I hate to keep bringing up Steve, but I didn't have suits like this when I first started out. For you folks who live in Orlando, I was literally going over to the Magic Mall, which is the world's most ghettoest. What's up, Mexican Cable? The world's most ghettoest flea market, and I was buying suits that if you wore more than once, they would rip. And then I had shoes. You couldn't tell me I wasn't clean, but they were plastic. And Steve, once he took me under his wing, he gave me a crap ton of suits. And then after I wore those for a couple of years, I was like, I love him, but I don't want to dress like him every day. You know what I mean? I'm not an old school black dude. So I kind of went with my own style, and that's how I've been ever since. But I lucked out. These suit companies started to see me wear my stuff, and now I have literally boxes of these stupid suits in my house. Pray for my wife. Just pray for her. Just because.
Ruben, I've actually shown up on set to fill in for you, and people have gone, "What? No suit?"
I'm sorry, bro. Hey, but here's the thing. Another problem is you might, have you met my friend Elliot? Elliot Hansen. He's a warm-up guy. He does all the Comic-Cons. We do all the Comic-Cons together.
Not yet.
But the problem is he and I wear similar suits because we do these Comic-Cons together. The problem is he showed up with this exact jacket on, and they thought he was copying me. And I was like, no. Like, he didn't make the same suit. You can just buy it. You can just buy the suit. Oh, well. It all worked.
Jay, you're a snappy dresser too, and Ron, you can dress as well. Ron Seggi dresses well, man. Old school. When we were running out with McMahon in Vegas, we were all in suits all the time, matching. I mean, and Tony Curtis is hanging around. We're singing in the Sinatra Lounge. I mean, I thought I made it. That show, I'm like, I made it. If that was enough. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have one more gigs, but that was pretty epic. You know what I mean? It was literally nuts. It's like 1 minute you got Dangerfield sitting over here, Tony Curtis, and I'm with Ed McMahon's crowd running around the hotel. It was awesome. McMahon and Seggi, man, you knocked it out.
You talk about clothes. When I sing with my 15-piece orchestra, I wear some pretty outlandish things, Eric, because you've worked with me in the past. And I bought this one jacket, like I do, like Rubin does. I go to the stores that you don't typically frequent, and they get to know you. And as soon as they see it, all they see is dollar signs. And so I wear all this stuff. I do three or four changes a show. I walk out this one time, and I look over to one of my backup singers, and she has the same jacket I have. She has the same jacket. It was a girl, right? Now, you don't think that isn't heartbreaking.
Mr. Ron, sir, I want to see your closet because as loud as I dress, I cannot pull off a shirt with leather on it like you are doing right now. I don't know how you doing this, but I want it. I can't pull that off, but you are pulling this off, sir.
Old school, baby. The paisan over there.
Shirt.
That's a work shirt. Where do you even go to find? Who's the guy? Who's the guy you talking to? Hey, no, you got that shirt with the leather in it. Thank you. Who are you talking to?
I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I got to tell you one thing. Nobody wants to take my hand-me-downs because if they do, they're going to look like they're little like the loafers.
Sir. I respectfully call you a liar. I want it. If you want to send it, you listen respectfully.
I will. We got it. Okay, we'll do it.
Right.
That's
my dad handed the extra handcuffs to Chris, passed them down, Mike, and then now warm-up host. We pass clothes, great suits. That can be our passing the torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about being a warm-up guy is the ability to adapt. Because like I've done 2 shows in a day where I'm at MTV ridiculousness, where I'm like, yo, what up? Wearing a hoodie, audience, let's make some noise. And then 3 hours later, I'm in a suit. Welcome to Dancing with the Stars.
Hey, you say that, Jay. I had to make the switch. I had to make the switch from, wearing suits and ties and button downs with Steve Harvey every day to Kelly Clarkson, who's rock and roll. And I had a little bit more freedom, so I could still wear my suits, but I got to tone this down with it was tough for me to adapt at first because I was like, yo, this is my thing. You know what I mean? But you're absolutely right. One of the 48 laws of power is you never outshine the master, right? And the host is the master of the stage. So if I'm out there, if I for instance, if I can't be out there in $1,000 suit and the host is in jeans, you can't be doing that. You know what I mean? I've lived by that. 48 laws of power, never outshine the master. Feel how you want to feel about the term master, but I've lived by that because it works. Again, your name ain't on the wall. The room. You are not the first call on the list. You better adapt. You know what I'm saying?
Always read.
I never heard this before. This 48 laws of power. I never.
Roddy.
Hey, you said you're in the books. 48 Laws of Power is a great book, especially for people in entertainment, especially for folks who are in business, especially for anybody that kind of wants to get ahead and wants to play this game called life. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, especially in this business, get caught up in their ego. This is not about me. That's one of my biggest rules. Is this ish ain't about me. That's my motto. So because when you go out on stage, even if your name is on the wall, this ain't about you, okay? Because the audience has paid their time, they have paid their money, they've gotten dressed up, they've done whatever they can do to sit in the audience and watch you do this. I studied under this man named Bob Brandenburg from Nickelodeon, and he taught me this. He was like, "Look, man, they did not come to see you. Even if you are SpongeBob SquarePants, they didn't really come to see you. They came to see you. They came to get entertained. And even I don't care how big of a name you are, if you can't provide that, it doesn't matter." And so I've kind of lived by that, and the 48 laws of power, blah 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 blah. But that's those are my rules, and kind of because Jay's out here. This business is tough, especially for what we do. This is the smallest pool of people. Think about that. There are millions of actors in LA. There are millions of producers. There's a couple 100,000 directors. There's about maybe 100 warm-up guys, and there's maybe 30 that work up all the time. And then there's maybe 10 to 15 that can actually make a living at this. That's it. You know what I mean? And so you talked earlier about, you were saying, hey, Jay, you said, hey, you just got to do the work. You just got to go out there and hustle. I live by that because the majority of what we do is relationship, right? So if the people around us can't work with us, there's no audition for our job.
One of my favorite things about warm-up is that there's so many warm-ups that are bad that you and I consistently get calls. Hey, we hired the wrong person. Can you help us?
And I'll never bash anybody, but you're absolutely right. The reason I get a lot of work is because I know that this ish ain't about me. I don't care what happens. I don't care. I don't, some shows give me a green room. Some shows I get a corner and a bucket of water. And either way, I'm hustling, bro. I don't care. Like, at the end of the day, pay me my money and we good. I don't need it. I don't need no amenities. I don't need nothing else. Just pay me my money so I can feed my babies and I'm out. That's all I need.
Wait, money and one other thing. The applause. We live for the applause, gentlemen.
Well, here's what COVID is.
The audience gives us. I love it.
Here's the biggest thing that COVID's taken away from me, and all four of us are performers. It is a drug. Applause, energy, cheering is a drug. And at the end of the day, I don't have that right now, and that is crushing me. Like, man, we get to do virtual things, which is fun, but just that initial applause, the reaction of an audience laughing to you, that face-to-face interaction fuels me. I am addicted to applause. Not joking.
No, it's the truth.
Yeah, I agree.
People don't give energy enough
credit.
You guys a question,
This always amazed me with guys that do what you do. And again, I go back to telling you that it's really an art form that people don't appreciate because they don't know what you go through. But do you ever have the feeling when you're doing that? Because I know I certainly have done it when I was a second banana. And that is, hell, I could do that show myself. Why not hosting Wheel of Fortune? Do you ever get that feeling? Because you're like the bridesmaid. You're real close.
You know, Mr. Ron, listen, you're absolutely right. We all feel that way. I think everybody on here, I mean, sir, you've already paved the way, but the rest of three of us, you know, everybody on here wants to be absolutely my dad always used to say, if you're not the lead dog, the feud never changes. That means you look up another dog's butt. But that being said, I make a great living looking up that other dog's booty, and I'm okay with it. Like, you can't, like, there's a lot of guys and women in this business that have the ego. And I think that's the switch. When you're a performer, like you're an actor or something that comes with a certain ego. With this, you cannot have the ego. They did not come to see you. You are the DVD extra. They did not come to see you whatsoever. And so in sometimes we have 10, 15 minutes to endear ourselves to 200 people and make sure those people do what we need to do for the next 4 hours. You know what I mean? And so if you have ego in this, and we've seen it, we've all seen it, you're going to fail. You could have ego in your closing, dress up, do what you got to do, but if you walk in there and you have any delusions of grandeur, they gonna call me, or they gonna call Jay, or they're gonna call any other damn warm-up guy out here that does not have that.
I've had people call me in the middle of the day.
Right.
Hey, we're on a lunch break. Can you come in the second half of the day? I'm like, wow, your warm-up's that bad that you won't even let them finish the day?
People think it's easy. It's a thing, you know. You got to get the people happy, and if they don't like you, it's a miserable energy in the studio, and it just won't fly for the show. You got to have good energy.
But Eric, I got to say this though. I have been in the room and they don't like me. I've been in the room and they don't like me. But you guess what? I'm gonna make this. Listen. I did a show, and Jacob has tested this. We do a lot of shows where there's a lot of paid audience. And sometimes when you walk in a room and everybody's paid in the room, nobody wants to do the work, okay? So now I have another skill set. I have the ability to talk trash, and I will now walk around the room, and we can do this. If we have to do this, we can do this. But either way, I need you to do what I need you to do so I can get out of here and get to this next gig. Because again, you getting paid, I'm getting paid. You ain't gonna mess up my mojo. We got to get this work done. You know what I mean? So whether they like me or not, I'm walking in that room and I'm gonna do my job and I'm going home.
Yeah,
I've been able to like me. You gotta
one of these days. One of these days, they got to do an hour episode, a feature. I don't care where it's at, History Channel or what, on what happens before the show and what you do, all three of you, to make that happen. Because people don't know that. The only time they see that is when they go see a TV show. You know, the first time my brother went to go see The Tonight Show, he couldn't believe what was going on. They should do a show about that. People like to see behind the scenes.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I got a chance to I was interviewed this time.
Okay, let's do it.
I was interviewed for a documentary that they were trying to get on Netflix all about warm-ups. And I never heard back from them. I was just waiting around, like, and I think the world would love to be like, these are the behind-the-scenes dudes we never see.
Yeah,
Jay, I've been a part of something similar.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to say, I want to extend to you guys. I don't know if Eric said this at the beginning, but I do a nationally syndicated show that I did from Universal Studios, radio show, entertainment show for 25 years. I now have my own studio. At any time, and Eric, you set this up, we want to have Jay and we want to have Rubin as our guest, and of course Eric, and we'll talk about this on the air because I think people love this kind of stuff. It's
Mr. Ron, you don't know this, but I worked at Universal Studios and I technically still do. I've been there about 25 years. Your name is legend out there. I'm sad this is my first time meeting you, but your name is legend out there. So I've known about you way before I ever met you. And if I can ever be on your show, I'm going to put that on my wall of good stuff. Just let a brother know.
I'm in too, man.
Okay, all right. That's right. Thank you for saying that. Thank you, Jay. That's very nice of all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Seggi, tell us about your Ron. Will you tell us about your CD? You have CDs on the market. Will you tell us about that real quick?
Yeah,
so
you
told me
your CD? And I left it on the other side of the room. Yeah, I was going to. How about if I just show this Glenn Campbell CD? No. It's called Memories, and right now you can get it on Amazon. There's also a song that was rip that in the. I'll tell you what to do. I have two websites. I invite all of you and all of the viewers to watch. It's ronseggi.com, RONSEGGI.com. When you get there and you hit the home page, you'll hear our latest radio show on demand. This weekend, in fact, we had a tribute to Larry King, who's on the show many times. We got a lot of guests on the show. We have 8 guests, all celebrities. You mentioned John Taffer. He's on this week. And if you go to Seggi Sings, SEGGISINGS, you can hear all about our tour with this big orchestra that we do with the tribute to Dick Clark's American Bandstand. But I'd love to have all you guys on the show. This would make a great segment on my show.
I'll tell you what, Mr. Seggi. Would be honored to be part of it. I put you up on the screen alone because we're getting up on an hour on the show. We usually keep these shows at about an hour. I could talk to you guys forever, though. We gotta do Mr. Ron's show and continue this conversation because you know what, I just miss you guys too much. But let me pull you up one more time. Is there any parting words you'd like to leave us, Ron, or anything you'd like to tell us about going on right now? I'm going to pull you up. Then I'm going to pull Rubin up. Then I'm going to pull Jay up. Hang on one second. Yep, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I want to tell you something, Eric. Thanks for having me on the show. I just met 2 new friends now, Jay and Rubin. And Rubin, thanks for those kind words. Best of luck to all of you. And I look forward to chatting again real soon, okay?
Love you, Ron. I love you. All right, thanks. Don't go anywhere, though. I'm pulling Rubin up and then Jay up, and then we got to wrap this up, just like we got to wrap up our warm-up gigs. The show that something else has to go. It's still early Sunday night, Sunday fun day. All right, come on, Rubin.
Yeah, man, we got to get a body here. I got 2 babies, children I got to feed. So I appreciate being on the show. Hit me up in my Instagrams at I am Rubin Ervin. I do a show called Quarantine Feud on Facebook. It's real sporadic right now, but I'm going to be bringing it back real soon. I basically play a board game of Family Feud and give out prizes. So join me on my Facebook. My name is down in the corner, Rubin Ervin. And thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, brother. Here we go, Flats. Give us with some parting advice, something special, Flats. You always got something good to say.
Well, I don't have any beige children. That shit cracked me up. Rubin's like, I got 2 beige children. Always go after. Always hustle. Always, and you know what? Learn something new. I'm gonna go ahead and read this 48 Laws of Power book that Rubin suggested. And don't let anybody tell you can't do anything. I am an example of 1 month of community college only. And now I have a pension fund. So just do it. Get in there. Make it happen.
Thank you, Flats. Words to live by. Jay Flatley. And I gave you your nickname, Flats, right? That was me?
I have to go cook, man. That's why I didn't want to wait.
Yes. Well, anyway, this has been another brilliant. Is that Mrs. Seggi in the background? Is that Miss Seggi? This has been another brilliant
sure
episode.
Oh, man, she got to go to the stove.
Bromance and the BurbZ. Hang on one second. Here we go. Let's get our party music. Another brilliant episode. We're ending with some Sinatra. We'll end with some Ray Charles, same version of Sinatra that we came in. Holy crap.
They're coming to America.
No.
Today.
Oh, listen, that was one of my hit songs when I was opening for Ed McMahon. That's what I would do. I would sing, "They're coming to America today." They taped it just like they said they were going to tape it. I never got the footage. That would be nice for my reel, right? Hear this little Ray Charles on the way out. Another brilliant episode. Bromance in the world. We'll see you next time. We got some warm-up hoes. We're working all the time. Yeah. Woo. Thanks, guys. I love you. I miss you. We got to spend more time together. Bromance and the BurbZ. LA, I miss you, boys. I got to come back out there soon. I love it. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Rubin. Bromance and the BurbZ. Thank you, Jay. I don't know what I'd do without you guys in my life. Bromance and the BurbZ. Stay tuned. We got more episodes coming up. We got a comedians edition coming up and a couple more. Thank you guys for being on the show. Rubin Ervin, Jay Flats, Ron Seggi, the best. Love you guys. Until next time. Bromance and the BurbZ. Look out for each other. Stay tight. Don't be afraid to explore your feelings. Life is a cabaret, and I love every minute of it. I know you're there, all over the floor. Until next time. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Every time you hear swing back. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And many more.
We got to get you a new sign.